We also believe that there's an ongoing need, like I said a while ago, to have an educational program that helps people use the data appropriately and help them to interpret the information that they get from that. For what it's worth, we ran some numbers in our report, in the back of the report, we meaning Jed Moorhead sitting in front. We looked at what the numbers mean and applied to regional water planning resources and how much water savings that can net. It's been documented at some of those regional water planning efforts that you can save 2 inches in a crop year by using these data appropriately. And you heard the other presentations earlier. Pat Scarth and others were talking about how that's applied to time the water when the crop needs it. We save the water. We also save energy. If I'm not pumping so much, I'm saving water. In the Texas Panhandle alone, we estimated about $18 million a year just in the irrigated acreage. That's over average crops, over average irrigation methods, and so on. So those are real numbers, and we can save some water. We can save some pumping costs through application of this type of information. So it does have a value. I appreciate your time, and if you have any questions, I'd be glad to try to answer them. Yes, Judy.
Microphone, Judy.
They yell at you too, huh, Judy?
Oh, you bet. Now, what's going to happen to our ET network?
I don't know.
Okay.
I hope we can do a Lazarus with it. I don't know, but I think that it does have a lot of value. So I hate it's painful. Obviously I had a lot of my program based in that effort, and the reason I did that was because I believed in its value. So I don't know. Yes, Norm. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I can answer that.
I was wondering how much radius that you consider reliable from one of these stations that would be reasonably reliable.
That's a good question. I don't know. Here's a standard engineer answer. It depends. If you're talking about different parameters, solar radiation is not that sensitive. Rainfall, if I get 10 feet away from the gauge, it's totally wrong.
Oh, I know.
If I've got changes in elevation, that's going to make a bigger difference than if I'm relatively continuous distance. We have done some work in the past looking at some of those numbers, and I don't have them on the top, but I could come up with a report for you and look at that. But we like to think more is better, but there is a balancing act with the cost effectiveness. You're right. I'm sorry, Norm.
Just comment on the last question is, in Nebraska, I don't know where we got the number, it was just picked out of the air, but we usually said 40 miles on spacing.
Yeah, I was thinking around 30 or so.
Yeah. Question, have you done any figures on what it would really cost to run a system as it should be with the stations out there, the quality control on the stations, the quality control on the data, and the delivery of that data, manpower or person power, and also operating the systems. I think we all need to know that, so we know what we can and can't support politically to keep these stations alive.
Thank you, Norm. That's a very good one. And I know Kansas has faced some of the same issues that we have. Just in our small network, just in the High Plains, a relatively limited number of stations, we're looking at 200,000 plus or minus per year, and we've been running that on soft funds. Our experiment station directors have asked us to come up with numbers. What if we cut out all the outlying stations, the county stations, and just had the research farm stations? And we're still looking at around plus or minus 150,000, because first of all, you've got to have the people. It's not directly proportional. You can't have a half a person do that. The Oklahoma Mesonet is funded by state funds, and their budget is on the order of $2 million a year, if I remember correctly. Is that right? I think it was on the order, if I'm remembering correctly. So, and that hires the people. And remember, just, the numbers I quoted were just for our region. If we wanted to go statewide, it's going to have to cover some more ground. Plus, there are some fairly large aerial gaps in the state. We've got some decent coverage up here. We've got good coverage in Guy Phipps's network and down in the valley, the South Texas area where we've got the irrigation districts. But then there are some huge gaps in between that are of concern. Good question, Norman. And while I'm here and I'm picking on Norm, and I've got a couple of minutes, I really did appreciate his crop water allocator. I have played with it. It's really, from my standpoint, it is easy to jump in, and I'll take the liberty to, hate to do this, Norm, but promote the mobile irrigation lab. They also have some other good tools on their fuel cost estimator. You can compare different energy sources, and if you're looking at, you can plug in today's gas costs and diesel costs and electricity costs and run the numbers yourself and compare them. They also have some season-long irrigation cost projectors and some of those other calculators that are really handy, very easy to use. You need to look and make sure the assumptions are appropriate for your operation. But there's a backdoor way too. If I look at my irrigation cost estimator and I'm spending more per acre inch than it's saying I should, then I might need to consider doing some kind of pump evaluation. I may be able to identify a problem through the back door that way. So you can pay me later, Norm. I appreciate your time. Thank you.